on another note, man, another artist who has been extremely influential and has, I would say, shaped and changed what hip hop sounded like, especially like just sonically, is Kid Cudi.
Kid Cudi.
Somebody from your
Legend,
hometown, man, close to it, nearby.
Ohio native from Cleveland, yeah.
Absolutely, man. What we want to do is, it is an anniversary, 15 years?
15, 14,
I think
15 or 16.
Yeah, I think it's 15, the 15th year anniversary of Kid Cudi's debut album, Man on the Moon. And this was a very, very impactful album for me, I can say. An album that really, it just sounded completely different than anything else I had heard prior. Really,
point,
it just was completely different sonically, and I think that the level of vulnerability that was displayed in that album was just completely unique. It was, there was no ego in the album. It was very just transparent. This is what I'm going through. This is my life. This is where I am. These are the battles that I'm fighting.
Absolutely.
But did so over amazing music, very melodic, but also still rapping at parts and at sections of the song. It's one of those albums where it's like, it's hip hop, but it just was like, kinda, it's hard. It was hard to kind of categorize what it was. And yeah, man, it was just a very, very impactful song for me growing up. When I first heard it, I think I was in high school when this album dropped, and I remember just hearing it and being like, oh yeah, this is different. This is completely different than anything I've ever heard. One person that comes to mind this was an album, when it came out, older people didn't understand it. Older people didn't understand Kid Cudi and what he meant to the youth. He was very youth driven. A lot of younger people were the ones listening to Kid Cudi's music. And to me, the person who's doing that right now in the same vein is Rod Wave, who's making very emotional driven music that young people are gravitating to. That isn't really, it's hip hop kinda, but it's different. It's more melodic. And I think he's kind of the hood version of that. You know what I mean? They're very different, but still have captured young people. And like I said, when I ask my students who some of their favorite artists are, Rod Wave is on the top of that list.
Wow.
Always. Rod Wave is always mentioned. He's having a huge impact, which is why he's selling out the venues that he's selling out. It's a lot of younger people who his music is touching. But what did you think about this album?
Oh, this album is like classic. Like when I go in my mind and I kind of try to capture what songs meant the world to me at this age. Like I think I was around like 11, 12 when this released. Like this album comes to mind. Like I always go back, and my memory bank can always go back to Soundtrack to My Life.
Yes, that's one of my favorite songs on there.
Everybody remembers when they saw the first video of Day and Night, when they saw it for the first time, and just how transcendent that sound was, but the video and all the other elements that made it what it was culturally, right? I always go back to Pursuit of Happiness. That's like a classic song.
Absolutely.
If you've gone to college, you've gone to house parties, that's like a go-to.
I just hate when they play the fast sped up version.
Of course, the EDM remixes gotta go.
I was talking to my girl about that because she was playing that version, and I was like, man, this one ain't it.
She played it, in the car?
Yeah, she's playing in her car. She had that on one of her playlists, and I was like, this ain't the one. She was like, it reminded me of college. I was like, y'all was playing the wrong one, man.
Yeah, y'all were playing the wrong version. Yeah. Man on the Moon, thank God I'm fresh. Like, there any love. Like, this album to me is like one of those albums you can just, listen to straight through, like on a road trip or whatever state of mind, whatever setting you're in. And what I love about it to me is just how vulnerable he was on this project. It sounded different for the times. You could tell now that that he was taking things off of the Kanye West tree. He was going to a separate one and taking things off Andre 3000 Love Below in certain elements too, believe it or not. And he just made it his own. And now, with this album, listening to it, you see what impact he made in the years after that. There would be no Travis Scott that we know it without this version of Kid Cudi. There would be no Rod Wave without it. Like, there's so many artists that have taken his sound, his impact, and just his openness. Drake, like, is another one of those artists who took elements from Kid Cudi and made it his own as well. So This dude is transcendent, man.
Absolutely, man. I think that he's influenced the way that people make music within hip hop.
Yes.
And like I said, how vulnerable people can be within hip hop. Some of my favorite songs, also Soundtrack to My Life, just an amazing song.
Yes.
One of my favorites from the album. Day and Night, of course. Sky Might Fall being another one that I've always loved. Pursuit of Happiness. Man on the Moon, the title track. Yeah, man, just some amazing songs on the album. One that you can listen to straight through for sure. So it's very slow, very melodic. Definitely a song that it's a heartfelt album
for sure.
And like I said, it just sounds completely different than everything else that's been made. So that for that reason alone, I think that's what put Kid Cudi on the map
for sure.
As a staple artist.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, y'all got one in Ohio, man. That's one to be proud of. Is Kid Cudi, man.
Yeah.
Kid Cudi is different, but yeah, I always make that Rod Wave comparison, not because they sound anything alike, because they don't.
They don't.
At all. But it's just for the young people in that generation, he's making that not just sad, but it's really more so like it's kind of sad, kind of emotional, emotion-driven music that helps people get through problems that they're going through.
And he knows how to capsule it for today's audience. Like Rod Wave is great. Like he has great music, and Kid Cudi, like you said, he took elements from Kid Cudi and made it his own.
Absolutely,
so many artists have, and it's just impressive to see.
And you told me something that I had no idea. You said that lastly, I think it was a couple weeks ago in the podcast when you told me that Travis Scott got his performance name from his influence from Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi's name being Scott.
Scott Muscudi, yeah.
I had no idea. But it makes perfect sense because you can listen to Travis Scott's music and tell that there was Kid Cudi influence.
Especially there. Al Farrow. Really Al Farrow for me. Rodeo, you can hear it on certain songs, but yeah, like that influence is strong, man. I think Kid Cudi, like when I hear people talk about Kid Cudi saved my life. Like, that isn't just, like, a thing to say because it's just cool or commonplace. Like, people really feel that way. And you understand listening to this album, Man on the Moon 2, and all the other projects, Passion, Pain, Demon Slaying. Like, I listen to those albums even now, and I'm like, I wouldn't go as far as to say save my life, but I would say, there were certain moments in my life through heartbreak, in heartache or just whatever, and I go back to certain songs kind of like pop up in my mind. So Kid Cudi's amazing, man. Shout out Kid Cudi.
Shout out Cudi, man.